Good morning. Today is Saturday, January the 29th, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Purpose-Driven CEO. Today on the Purpose-Driven CEO, we are going to talk about the concept of time management, and I'm going to share some secrets that I have developed over many years of executive leadership of how to manage our time. One of the things that I have found, and I know you would agree with me on this, is that it's wonderful to have resources and people and capital and all those types of things, but the most limiting resource in our life is time. And what's interesting is everything is based upon how we use our time. So our reputation is based upon how we choose to use our time. Our effectiveness is determined upon how we choose to use our time. And so at the end of the day, what we are going to learn today, I think, is probably among the most important lessons that we will ever have on the Purpose-Driven CEO. And as you're thinking about time and time management, I want to ask you to think about really two things. Number one, we should always be at our highest and best use when it comes to time. So no matter what you are doing throughout the course of a day or in the evening or on the weekend, I want you to think about, is this the highest and best use of our time? Meaning, am I making the greatest impact right now in the way that I am using my time? I think that is critical. Then on a daily basis, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about that today I am going to prioritize and do the most important things that I need to do today. Each day, make sure you have a list of the most important things you need to get done that day. Make sure you get them done. And if you can do them in the most efficient and expedient manner, that is ultimate time management, doing the most important things and doing them efficiently. So having said that, let's jump into a few ideas as it relates to time management. So first of all, we did an episode earlier in the Purpose-Driven CEO about the power of mornings. And so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but first I have to tell you, I don't think you can be effective and be an effective time manager without starting off your day the right way. So let me give you some ideas. There is a book called The 5 a.m. Club that really changed the way I thought about mornings. And so what I do in the mornings, I start about 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 4:45, grab some coffee, splash some water on my face, take a few minutes to wake up, and then I'm typically in the recliner by 5 a.m. and I have a time of reflection. And during this time of reflection, I do a number of things. I do a devotional. I spend some time in prayer. I'm focused on what is my vision, what's God's vision for me in the future. What does the perfect day look like? Who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to pray for today? And then I spend some time at the very end making sure to prioritize my day and make sure I know what I want to accomplish on this particular day. Then by 5:30, I move into a time of learning. I have 15 minutes of some new learning. It might be reading, a book. It might be, a newsletter that I've gotten. It can be anything, but I just want to be growing every day before I start the day. And then 5:45 is exercise. And what I've started doing now while I exercise is I have started listening to the Bible in the morning. And what you can do is you can go to YouVersion app and you download it, and it's a Bible. You can pick the version that you like, whatever is more comfortable for you. I like NIV. And what I will do is I will just hit the little speaker up there and you can just listen to it. So while I am on the treadmill or walking or jogging or whatever, I'll put in the headphones and listen to the Bible. I like the New Testament. I like to follow the life of Jesus. I just think no matter how you feel about religion, he was the most remarkable person to ever live. So I really try to learn from him and his life. Then I'd wrap up by 6:30, grab breakfast, spend some time with the kiddos and Angela before everybody heads out, and try to get ready and be at my desk by 7:30. Now, once I get into the office, one of the things that I do is I do not take any meetings before 10 a.m. The reason for that is because I am the best in the morning. I know that I am the sharpest. My mind is going 90 miles an hour. I have a lot of energy. And so I want to focus on my main priorities, the things I need to get done that day before 10 a.m. Then after 10 a.m., it's pretty much Katie bars the door, Shelly books all kinds of appointments, and it's pretty much packed until the end of the day. I always start every week with a weekly planning session and blocking time. So what I mean by that is, like, if I know I have a big project, so for next week, I really need to focus on getting raises finalized for everybody and getting bonuses finalized for everybody from 2021. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my calendar. I'm going to block off 2 hours just to focus on those things to make sure I get them done. And that's the same way every week. Whatever the most important things that I have going, I try to go in and block time on the calendar so I know that I will have time to get them done. I practice a concept called 2-hour living, which is basically every 2 hours I stop and take a break, and I'll spend some time in prayer. I'll grab something to eat and drink, have a little break, just get my mind off of business for 10 or 15 minutes. And the reason I do this is because there was a Harvard Business Review article that talked about how we are really supposed to be sprinters and not marathons. We're not supposed to be at high maximum RPMs all day long, every day, nonstop. We should sprint and rest, sprint and rest. And so what that does is it keeps me focused, and it also gives me much more energy at the end of the day when I get back home with my family. So every 2 hours, I stop and I take a quick break, and then I'll pray for God's favor for the next 2 hours, and then hit it hard, and then go to lunch, and then do it in the middle of the afternoon as well. I never waste a lunch. We all need to eat lunch, and so I think it's very important that we always use that time well. So whether it is a VIP client, a prospect, one of my direct reports, one of my employees, somebody, a shareholder, whoever it is, every lunch I think should be used productively. I really love a program called Umail that I have on my phone, Youmail, and it's umail.com. Basically, you can set this up on your cell phone, and then when people call you, it will transcribe their voicemail message into an email, which allows you, A, to have a record of why they called, and B, if you have an executive assistant, you can just shoot that email over to them, say meeting please, and they have all the details within that voicemail. You don't have to write it down, send them an email. It just really saves tons and tons of time. I'm a believer in a handwritten note every single day. And part of why I know this is important is because I've just started this recently, and I've gotten calls or texts from each person I've sent the note to about how much it meant to them. And some of my friends have called thinking that I must have some type of a terminal disease because I sent them such a nice note, which is a sign I probably should have been doing this all along. So it takes 2 or 3 minutes. It's the first thing I do every day when I sit down at my desk, and having a handwritten note I think is very important. I don't do any work after 6:30. One of the things that I learned is that when I am constantly working, looking at my phone, texting, emailing, doing all of these types of things, then I am not focused on my family, which is where I need to be focused in the evenings. And so put your phone away. And once you let people know that this is the way you function, they're fine. They're not going to bother you. They're not going to be upset that you don't answer their phone in the evening. They will completely understand. Next is a concept called attention management. And we've had a full episode on this, but I'm just going to hit it real quick. And basically, you cannot multitask. So one of the things that will help you get more work done in less time is by focusing on one thing at a time. When you multitask, your effectiveness goes in half. And so you're going to do half as much work anyway. And frankly, it's the equivalent of smoking marijuana. That is the effectiveness of doing multitasking. Next is energy management. I mentioned this earlier, but making sure that you are focused on the most important things during the time that you have the most energy. Now, as I said, for me, that is in the morning, and so that's when I hit everything. But for you, it may be in the evening. You may be a night person. Whatever it is, don't fill that time with meetings. Fill that time with focused work that is your most important thing you need to do that day. Next is a concept called the no office solution. This is from Strategic Coach, and basically the concept is you shouldn't have an office. You should have a conference room with a table in the center, a phone and computer jack. And basically, what you would do is you would just bring in one thing to work on that thing, take it back out, put it in the file, bring in the next thing, work on that one thing, and it keeps you from being distracted by piles and a bunch of, mess around your office. Now, along these lines, we should be in the market as leaders, okay? There is a concept, bureaucracy actually means desk dweller. And so when we find safety behind our desk, and we tend to want to get back there and work on paperwork and read emails and stuff, but we're really more effective when we are out. So our goal really needs to be all this stuff I need to do at my desk, I really need to delegate out to someone else, and then I can get out in the market where I am more effective telling my story, bringing in new business, focusing on my employees, and that type of thing. Finally, I am a serial outsourcer. Angela and I have learned that our time is so valuable that we don't really want to be spending it doing things that other people can do better. So whether that is lawn work, laundry, pool maintenance, cleaning up the house, helping us get the kids around to different events. We have an entire army of people that help us do that stuff. And you might think initially, man, that is really expensive. But if you think about the value of your time and what you can create during that same time, whether it's great memories with your families or whether it is great value for your business, I would argue that that's the best money that you will ever spend is outsourcing things. Finally, I am a big fan of having an executive assistant or a chief of staff. And let me explain why. And I know not all of us can afford this, but if you can, let me tell you why I think it's so important. I have an amazing executive assistant. Shelley is the best in the business. And what she does for me are tons of things. She handles all my incoming calls, all my incoming mail, all my emails. So I only get things that she cannot handle and that she feels like is relevant to me. She handles all scheduling, so I'm not spending tons of time playing phone tag, setting up meetings. She handles daily projects for me. So once I have my list of things I need to get done that day, I look and see, well, what can she do out of this list? And I'll have her do it instead of me, and that's a lot of it. Expense reports, approving time cards. She helps me kind of keep the pulse of the company where I kind of get a better feel of, how things are going. She helps me with event management and sets up things like VIP calls and meetings. And I give her a list of people that I want to make sure and have lunch with. And so she sets those up. So a lot of times, people will they will ask me, how in the world do you do all the things that you do? Well, the reason is because, number one, I'm outsourcing as much as I can to others. I have an amazing executive assistant where I, in essence, double myself each and every day, and then I try to use every moment at its highest and best use. One of the things, as I close, one of the things we can't do, we can't be effective and constantly be checking email, text. You have to do those things